Hello and welcome back. This is Antiqua, Lisha, and I'm the CEO and founder of Your Own University. And this is a glimpse into my own university. And today just rings home actually a lesson and observation that I've had for the last 12 years. So I've journeyed through this life of parenting. So last night as I was going to bed, I was actually writing up rules and regulations for this year in the house, expectations and chores and responsibilities, because I'm training young adults. And I think the more clarity we have around all of this, the better life is at home, right? Plus, my kids had some real choice words to say with me and kind of ticked me off, and they were not happy that their electronics go into my room at 8 p.m. But I think they'll survive. And I posted something on Facebook today about it, and really it's been this whole thing. And what I thought was going to come of it was like something completely different than what's truly come to me. And this might be a look at parenting. It might be a different way of looking at parenting and learning from parenting. Definitely something that resonates with me and is definitely more internal, self-reflective, and aha when it comes to who do I require to be as a parent? What do I understand about being a child? And how are my opinions or views as a child incomplete? So, if you're a parent, this one is for you. So today in my own university, what I realized last night as I was watching my children, as I realized this morning I was watching my children, I was just contemplating, like, why do I have to ask them to do these things, basic things? Like, if you get the milk out, put the milk back in the fridge, right? If you're gonna cook, cook it all. Clean it all up right afterwards. And I realized today, these are some skills, these are some things that I learned really late in life. And it wasn't because I didn't have responsibility as a kid. We had 8 horses. I was an only child. I had chores from the time I was 6 or 7, even before that, but really 6 or 7, like responsibilities in the house. And I had them every day. And if I didn't do them, or if I did them wrong, or I smelled off or anything, I had serious consequences, to the point where I named the belt and the garden hose that would meet my butt and my back and my legs Oscar. He was one of my friends. And not that that's right, and I don't discipline that way, I don't work that way. That's something that has hindered against me, though, because I have to take things away. I have to be really consistent. I have conversations with my kids, and I'm more understanding and compassionate because I don't want to go into disciplining in that force or fear manner. That said, there's a couple things that my kids have taught me that is pretty remarkable. One, being an only child, I didn't know that people actually learn how to fight and argue, prove their point, and justify themselves, and survive situations through brotherly and sisterly arguments. So I watch my kids do this and get better and better at communicating and arguing and understanding one another. Then as the years have progressed, and better at fighting and pushing each other's buttons and knowing exactly what they're doing too. And this is just very interesting for me because as an only child, I didn't have somebody to practice with that couldn't discipline me. That was different. So that's one thing I've learned. The other thing I learned is that my upbringing didn't make me extremely vocal or a hard kid to handle or opinionated or anything. That's just part of my maybe DNA, but it's part of a kid's personality, like push those buttons and test the boundaries. So when I was getting disciplined for doing that and told I was wrong, I was a rebel, I was a pain in the ass, I was never going to grow up to be anything, that I was no good, that I was a bad influence, blah, 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 that I was angry. Really, I wasn't. I probably had a little bit more anger than some kids. But if I didn't have the circumstances of my life, I probably still would have been the same way. If I hadn't been abused, if I hadn't been that, it would have been to a lesser degree. But my kids still press those boundaries. My kids still make the same faces. My kids still lash out and scream sometimes. My kids still try to push my buttons. That's part of growing up. That's part of testing your boundaries. That's part of setting your boundaries as well. Really, really awesome. The next thing that I just learned recently, or just came to mind today or yesterday, was, oh my gosh, they don't know how to pick up after themselves. Like, honestly, they don't know. Like, this is something we have to train. And I thought that I trained it into them when they were 2 or 3. But now they're getting out bigger things and they're doing different stuff. And it's like, just create this habit. It sounds so easy, but it's not something that I think we do as humans. I've never met a kid that just does it automatically. I mean, I'm sure there's a few. I know you don't have to send me 100 emails about how your kid is, picks up after themselves and always have. I'm sure there's always an exception to a norm. But for the most part, kids get out a toy, they play with it. They get out food, they play with it. They get out clothes, they play with it. And then throw it wherever it ends, and then there it goes. So we have to train them to do that. And that's different than just doing chores or having responsibility. This is common awareness of their surroundings, what they're doing, and completing a project. Like completing what they start begins with putting the milk away into the refrigerator. Such an important life lesson for all of us. The next thing that I've learned around kids and who they are is everything changes for them all the time. It changes for us too, but we know how to surf the roller coaster of life a little bit better. We know what to expect a little bit more. And so our children need a lot of grace in learning how to manage themselves. What emotions are good, what emotions are bad, and how to curb those emotions that are bad and actually have peace with them. Bad is maybe not the right word, but negative. And have peace with them so they don't overrule their life. So that's not their focus. So they can move on. How do they step out of their own limiting beliefs and what does that look like for them? So I already noticed some limiting beliefs in my children that I passed on to them. Their brain sucked everything up just like mine did before the age of 7. So as I was learning and growing 7 years ago, they were learning with me. And so breaking those habits and teaching them these things that we know now is so important, but also doing the work with them and for them, because they don't know. Just like we didn't know, they don't know. And that's pretty awesome. I just think all these things. So things that I've learned in my own university today, or really over the course of my lifetime as a parent, is one, kids don't know how to treat one another. They learn as they grow. Siblings are a great thing to watch, and it's not necessarily bad that they fight. I didn't have that, and I had to learn it through my friends. Oh, not a good thing. And thank you very much. 2, children are going to test their boundaries and learn how to set boundaries through that learning. 3, kids don't know how to pick up after themselves. They don't have that spatial awareness that we have, and or want to take care of things because they don't feel ownership of anything. True ownership, I don't think. So we're getting to that place. We're learning that now, which is pretty spectacular. And 4, they really are greatest teachers. I really learned that my kids are showing me how normal, how smart, how capable, how miraculous I was as a child and a young teen, and acceptable, and how so many of the things that I've made myself wrong for, felt myself a loser for, felt shamed by, were actually just normal kid stuff. Just normal kid stuff, just being kids. There's a section of life called kid, And we train them to be adults, but they're not little adults. They're kids. And there's a huge awareness for us as adults to build our own frame of compassion, empathy, understanding, and acceptance, like I was talking about the other day. Acceptance, that pure love of acceptance for another human being with our children when they're being kids. Just kids. Because some things they do are just annoying. Anyway, that is it for today. If you would like to know more about me, I'm not a parent coach. Self-awareness though, antiqualisha.com. It's huge freedom, lots of peace that you get when we work together. There's the 6 personal power zones, and this is in the relationship zone. If you'd like to know what zone you can focus on to make the biggest leaps and improvement and joy in your life, check out antiqualisha.com. There's also a great special right now for members at your own university. You get 2 weeks free of absolute love, everyday inspiration, and wonderful. We just filmed another great workshop within the members' quarters for you today, all on noticing people, awareness, healing PTSD, and beyond. Really great class. So anyway, bye you guys. See you later.